Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the most dark and thrilling anime series that had to be animated twice, Hellsing Ultimate. Now, before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications so you never miss a video. Let's get it. Hellsing is a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Kuta Hirano. The manga was serialized in Shonen Gaosha's Young King Hours from 1997 to 2008 and collected into a total of 10 volumes. The series' original anime adaptation was the 13-episode anime Hellsing, which aired on Fuji TV from October 10, 2001 to January 16, 2002. However, more widely known is the acclaimed OVA adaptation known as Hellsing Ultimate. Ultimate was released as a more faithful adaptation to the manga and began releasing in Japan on February 10, 2006 to December 26, 2012. Initially produced by Geneon, it later saw involvement from several animation studios such as Satellite and Madhouse over the course of its run, totaling 10 episodes. Now, let's get into the story. 10 years before the crisis that will engulf London, Integra Hellsing inherits the Hellsing organization upon her father Arthur's death and immediately faces betrayal from within her own family. Her uncle Richard tries to murder her to seize control, but his attack awakens the dormant vampire Alucard, who annihilates Richard's men in a display of overwhelming power. Integra ends the coup herself by shooting Richard, securing her position as the last Hellsing heir. Alucard, recognizing her resolve, pleads fealty and becomes her unshakable servant. In the present, Alucard goes to eliminate a vampire priest and his ghouls, where a young policewoman, Seras Victoria, is mortally wounded. Offered a choice between death and undeath, she accepts Alucard's blood and arises as his vampire subordinate. Soon after, a pursuit to Northern Ireland brings Alucard face to face with Father Alexander Anderson of the Vatican's Iscariot Section 13, and their first clash sets the tone for the Holy War to come. Skipping ahead, as Alucard dreams of his ancient defeat at the hands of Abraham Van Helsing, Integra convenes a round table to brief allies on a surge of engineered vampire incidents. That same night, brothers Jan and Luke Valentine, backed by a heavily armed ghoul army, launch a surprising assault on Hellsing headquarters. The carnage is immediate and devastating. Hellsing soldiers fall and rise as ghouls until Alucard, Seras, and the butler Walter C. Dornez, once feared as the Angel of Death, turn the tide with ruthless, precise violence. When the smoke clears, Jan taunts them with the name of the group orchestrating the attacks, Millennium. Integra, already piecing together the puzzle, suggests that remnants of the Nazi regime stand behind this new vampiric war machine. Reeling from the attack, Walter recruits the mercenary outfit Wild Geese, commanded by Pip Bernadotte, to rebuild Hellsing's depleted defenses. Confirmation of Integra's suspicions arrives from Enrico Maxwell, the fanatical chief of the Iscariot, who points to Millennium's Nazi origins. To hunt the source, Integra sends Alucard, Seras, and Bernadotte to Rio de Janeiro. There, corruption opens the city's gates to Millennium schemes. Brazilian authorities brand the trio as international terrorists in exchange for promised immortality. Teams then swarm them, and when Integra authorizes full measures, Alucard slaughters the attackers without restraint. His true target is the Millennium operative Alhambra, who tests Alucard before being overwhelmed, signaling that the enemy's scope and audacity stretch well beyond England. Back home, Hellsing and Iscariot gather with the Queen of the United Kingdom to coordinate, only to be interrupted by a live transmission from the Major, Millennium's commander, brought by Schrödinger. The Major announces his intent to wage war on England. Alucard casually shoots Schrödinger's messenger body, but the threat has already landed. Immediately, Millennium hijacks the aircraft carrier Eagle through First Lieutenant Rip Van Winkle and her SS detachment. Integra then launches Alucard aboard a reconnaissance jet to retake the vessel. Once aboard, he carves through the enemy and claims Rip as a familiar, while the Major maneuvers the campaign toward London, eager to drag Britain into a new era. With Alucard confined to the Eagle and steering it toward home, Millennium commences its full-scale assault on London. Zoran Blitz detaches towards Hellsing headquarters with an elite team, while the rest of the vampire shock troops flood the city, massacring civilians and spreading chaos. Their objective includes capturing Integra, who barely escapes when Walter stays behind to hold the attackers back. But this comes at a cost. The captain seizes Walter, and Integra, once cornered, is saved only to be taken into custody by Scariot priests armed to the teeth, led by Anderson, Heinkel Wolf, and Yumi Takagi. With this, Alucard bends the Eagle's course toward the inferno awaiting on the Thames. As the battle spreads, the Vatican pulls its own lever of escalation. Enrico Maxwell receives a major promotion and sets the church's soldiers in motion, eager to claim righteous victory on English soil regardless of the collateral damage. In London, Integra parries with the Scariot's command to secure an escort back to her headquarters, while at Hellsing Manor, Zoran Blitz's forces lay siege. Only Bernadotte's wild geese and Seras stand between the estate and annihilation. Their foe brings not just fangs and steel, but a warping power of illusion that snares minds and threatens to break the defenders from within. Seras' resolve and quick thinking sever Zoran's spell, giving the defenders a chance to breathe. In the confusion, a brazen, unwanted kiss foreshadows the stakes of attachment in the war, and the team splits, Seras heading one way and Geese another. Seras fights through Zoran's soldiers, but the counterattack comes with brutal intimacy. The wild geese are butchered as Zoran delves into Seras' childhood trauma, her parents' murder by criminals, her own shooting, and the desecration of her mother's corpse. Trapped in these visions, Seras suffers grievous wounds, her arm severed, her back pierced, her eyes slashed, while Bernadotte tries to extract her from the collapsing defense. Zoran then skewers him, and in his dying moments, he kisses Seras and begs her to drink. She does, and the vampiric bond floods her with power, knitting flesh for her left arm. She rises, transformed, obliterates Zoran's forces, and executes Zoran herself. With the mansion's siege broken, she strides into the ruined city to eradicate what remains of Millennium's ghouls and vampires as the Vatican's formations advance into view. The Vatican doesn't distinguish between the living and the damned as it surges into London under Maxwell's command, striking Millennium and tragically survivors alike. A darker surprise arrives when Walter, now turned vampire, aligns himself with the Major, betraying the very house he once swore to protect. Anderson seethes at Maxwell's hubris, denouncing what he sees as sin dressed in sanctity. Elsewhere, Heinkel Wolf and Yumi Takagi nearly capture Integra before Seras intervenes. Then, the river delivers a legend. Alucard stands atop the drifting eagle as it enters London. Confronting Anderson and the captain, he receives Integra's command to release his control art restriction to level 0. Unbound, he unleashes an army of familiars by the millions, revealing himself in truth as Count Dracula, Vlad the Impaler. The Summoned Legion overruns Iscariot and Millennium alike. Maxwell perishes, and Alucard rejoins Integra and Seras. Anderson charges once more, now supported by the remaining priests, and invokes Helena's Nail to transform himself into a monstrosity capable of burning Alucard and his legions' sanctified fire against unholy might. On the edge of death, Alucard wanders his own past. He remembers being a child abused by the Ottoman Sultan, then a prince at war against the Turks, warning his knights that prayer without labor is begging. And finally, a condemned man who drinks the battlefield's blood before the axe can fall, becoming a vampire. Seras' pleas pull him back to the present, however. Regaining focus, he tears free from Anderson's heart and crushes it, severing the nail's power. Anderson hears the laughter of children and speaks his final prayer as he dies. Walter then steps from the shadows, trampling Anderson's remains, and stuns Integra and Seras with his transformation and treachery. He kills Yumi. Heinkel is shot and spared by the captain, and then Alucard faces Walter while Integra and Seras accept an invitation to the Major's Zeppelin. As blades and wires fly, Walter's experimental vampirization begins to fail. He spears Alucard's heart with a pipe only to find it is a decoy. And Alucard drives Walter's body back through his own years until he stands a boy again. Alucard adopts the girl form he once uses in the war and calls Walter a child unchanged by time. Integra and Seras then board the Zeppelin and meet Schrödinger again, who is shot once again as the two women carve a path through Millennium's remnants. The captain intercepts them. Seras stays to fight while Integra presses onward. Outside, Alucard draws in the tides of blood that flood the London streets, and the Major's true strategy is revealed. Seras grapples with the captain, revealed as a werewolf whose ferocity exceeds her own, until Bernadotte's familiar intervenes and, with a silver tooth, turns the duel. Integra then reaches the Major, but a protective shield thwarts her plan, and from there the two witness the decisive moment. Schrodinger, atop Big Ben, decapitates himself and lets his body be absorbed into the torrent Alucard consumes. The Major explains Schrodinger's power, his existence maintained by self-awareness, as the perfect countermeasure to the countless lives inside Alucard, which dilute that awareness to nothing, resulting in erasing Alucard from the field. Seras rejoins Integra, and outside, Hankel ambushes the wounded Walter, who limps into the airship. Within, Seras finally shatters the Major's shield and injures him, revealing a mechanical body. He insists that his humanity lies in will and conviction, not flesh, and meets Integra in a climactic exchange of gunfire that kills him and blinds her left eye. Walter then reaches the doctor and slays him before falling. Recognizing the cost and the end, Integra orders Seras to bring them home. 30 years later, Iscariot comes to rebuild Hellsing's headquarters and is turned away, while Heinkel, now the organization's trump card, and the new chief contemplate their next crusade. That night, an older Integra finds the long-absent Alucard appearing by her bedside. He explains that his disappearance has been the price of restoring himself. Within the ocean of lives inside him, Schrodinger's paradox scattered his awareness everywhere and nowhere at once. And to return, he had to destroy multitudes of consciousness within him until only one remained, the omnipresent consciousness that allows him to be both here and everywhere. Integra, unwavering as ever, offers him her blood, and together with Seras, they accept his return. Master and servant reunited in the quiet aftermath of a war that consumed a city and their fates. And that is the end of Hellsing Ultimate. If you love the videos, click the join button down below and become an S-rank supporter. You'll gain access to custom loyalty badges, exclusive polls where you can help decide what the next videos on the channel will be, and priority replies from me. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to shoot the like button, bite subscribe, and slap that bell icon so you never miss another video. Until next time, peace.